Let's kick off with, I think, the key mover yesterday and the key reason for the bourse dragging low by almost 2,000 points. Dangote Cement falling back by 5%. We've had minor disputes at the Benue Cement Company, escalating to full-scale clashes there between workers. We've had 14 workers now die, equipment being destroyed there, 214 vehicles. Is there any indication going forward of what impact this might have on production from that cement company?
Well, from all indications, the company seems to have returned to normalcy. Production is sort of, still ongoing, and I think where the challenge is right now is just with evacuation of cement that's been produced. Management does claim that, that's also returned to normalcy as well, but I mean, as we know, when you have communal clashes like that, it takes quite a while for, market activity or some sort of, economic activity to recover. So we estimate that the company could suffer, volume losses for a couple of days, probably 10 days or so. But as to how it impacts its earnings, we think the impact will be relatively little. I mean, DCP is a pretty big cement company. It's got a capacity of about 7.8 million tons, and is operating at relatively high utilization rate, close to 90% by estimates. And given that its Bajana plant is running at a more efficient level relative to its Ogboko plant that you just described, I think that the impact will be quite little.
Now, the company hopes to expand production to just over 20 million metric tons of cement by the end of the year. Looking at their first half numbers, a pretty solid growth there, 10% year-on-year increase in profit after tax. Going forward, what are your expectations for the full year for the company in light of the fact that it has this aggressive expansion plan in terms of increasing cement production just inside Nigeria?
Well, because it's going to be bringing on quite significant capacity in the third quarter of the year, we're expecting it by the end of this month. We're looking at about roughly 12.2 million tons additional capacity, at least before the end of December this year. With that, I think would translate to a stronger second half, which I think will boost overall earnings for the year. That basically is our expectations. And I think, broadly speaking, because the company will be using primarily gas, that also helps with respect to overall efficiency improvements and boosting earnings.
Are there concerns around the company's long-term debt on its balance sheet sitting at around 98 billion naira?
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
Are there concerns around the company's long-term debt at around just under 100 billion naira on its balance sheet?
I mean, well, from our standpoint, the sort of capital structure of the company is less of an issue. It's got a robust balance sheet. Debt is less of an issue. It represents less than about 60% of its equity, which is quite strong. I think somewhere around about 100% would be sort of the threshold that management should be sort of wary about. But like I said, it's sub 60%, and going forward, the company is looking to finance its capacity expansion via primarily equity.
Has there been any more clarity from management in terms of the listing requirement to list 25% of the company on a free float basis, given the fact that only 5% is currently listed? It's still the largest listed stock on the exchange, but it does have this requirement that it has to fulfill by next year, September.
That is correct, but sadly, management hasn't been very communicative. I think they need to do a lot more on that front, and that's why you've seen the lackluster performance in the stock. I mean, the stock has been down quite significantly in the last month, about roughly 10% or so, having sort of outperformed just after the release of its full-year results for 2010. So I think that if management's a lot more communicative on this issue you just raised, and their expectations on delivery of capacity, outlook for the financial year, and also on some of the projects that they're also pursuing elsewhere in Africa, I think that could help boost sentiment around the stock. But sadly, that isn't happening.